Welcome to North Dakota after dark. I can see that everybody's already drinking, so it should be a A+ episode. Let's start. Oh, Kelly's got, or not Kelly, Corey, brown liquor. Tell us all about it.
Oh, tonight's drink of choice is a new fashion. It is a bourbon with amaretto and bitters. It is fantastic. I
Okay.
recommend it highly for those who want to make your podcast go exactly how it should.
Thanks.
Wonderful. Kelly, canned wine.
Canned Moscato, and you know it's fancy. It's got a map of Italy on it. So
Can't go wrong. Much like when my wife walks away from me, I recognize the can and I knew all about that. So
it's delightful. It really is.
yeah. Thank you for laughing, Corey.
I got nothing, man.
Hey, I'm drinking Corey's, which is Fresca and whiskey. Is that one of yours, Corey? I'm gonna call it Corey.
That's the redneck whiskey sour, like the redneck margarita.
Fresca
Corey.
whiskey.
It's fantastic, isn't it, Kyle?
It's so good.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. Very, very briefly, Corey's brown liquor reminded me of the fact that my wife had a birthday recently, which is I think 26 maybe for her. I found a new cocktail, which is called the Fort Point, which is the Boston version of a Manhattan, because Boston people don't want to drink a drink named after New York, which is fair.
Fair.
It is 3 ounces of liquor. The bartender did not tell me, and I was forced to talk to superfan Tim Litzinger, and I had to stop and enunciate every word because I thought I might slur them. And I think I texted you, Kelly, and said,
You did.
I'm shit-faced. Please help.
I didn't even sewer you. When I relayed that message to the moms, I'm like, hey guys, Kyle just wanted me to let you know. I didn't even sewer you. So I think that means that I should be invited to Whiskey Wednesday and Matt should be out because I already followed bro code. All right. I didn't even sell you out. So
that's a tough one.
Yeah. You just think about it. That's
I
all
will think about it.
Okay?
That's coming back February 21st. I'm a big Matt proponent, and I'm reluctant to, because he invited me to golf.
That's true.
I can't. You could both come, but I don't think I could. I don't have the heart to cut him out completely.
Yeah. Well, then if I come with Matt, it's going to be less enjoyable. It's kind of like hunting with the game warden is kind of like going to a outing with the guys with your wife present. It's just not the same. Not fun.
I've got 2 jokes about what you just said, but I'll keep it to the clean one. I feel like Kelly would show up more than Matt would for Whiskey Wednesday, so maybe we
100%.
should bring Kelly.
100%. Yeah. He also he has like extracurricular activities. I have none. So
Right.
I'm a bit, he does like coaching and stuff. He betters himself. I don't try to do that. I don't believe in bettering myself. So
Hey guys, in other news, as maybe Kyle is the fellow purveyor of old man dad music. Did you guys hear that they're going to take and make an anthology series of the Beastie Boy albums, a 5-part series?
No.
You guys are going to release this?
I heard it from Corey Urian.
Okay, because here's the deal: with your initial purchase, you get parts A through D with your purchase, but you do have to fight for your right to party.
Somewhere, Tony Bina just got happy.
I love dad jokes. Never don't tell me dad jokes because I love them so much.
I don't mean to segue away from this because I also do love dad jokes, but I know we also like to share things we watch on TV. I was watching a documentary on, I think it was Hulu today, about like early shipbuilding, about how ships were held together in the early days. It was riveting.
I walked straight into that. I really thought we were going down together.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, I'm going to segue my own segue. In December, I promised one of our listeners, I teased out the fact that Archie, my oldest boy, told me a very untoward joke, and which has become his forte, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell that joke now because I promised it. You guys have heard this before. But I did promise. So we have to, we have like 19 dedicated listeners, so keep them happy. A boy, well, let's call him Johnny, comes down to breakfast, and he's in a foul mood, and he's kind of grumbling and bumbling. And his mom's like, "Hey, I'll get you some breakfast. You have to go outside and do the chores." And so little Johnny walks outside, and they live on a farm, and he walks by the chicken coop, and he does everything, but he just lays the boots to a chicken, and that's fine. And
You had me here. I'm gonna stop that. Laying boots to a chicken.
lays the boots to a chicken. He
Yeah.
continues on to the barn, and
Gotta be a euphemism in there.
he stops the pigs, and he does that, but then he walks by one of the pigs, and he just lays the boots to one of the pigs as well. And that's okay. And then he has to milk one of the cows, so he goes and does that. But on his way out, he kicks that cow right in the ass, and comes back inside. Mom's like, "Okay, time for breakfast." Puts just a piece of toast on the plate. And she goes, "What the heck? Where's my breakfast?" He's like, Mom's like, "I saw you. I was gonna make you eggs, but I saw you kick the chickens. No eggs. And I was gonna make you bacon, and I saw you kick the pig. No bacon for you. And I was gonna give you a nice glass of milk, but I saw you kick that cow. No glass of milk for you." So he's a little upset, and Dad walks down the stairs, nearly trips over the cat. He just kicks that cat right across the room, lets Dad sit down, and he turns to Mom, "You gonna tell him, or am I?" There you go. Draw your own conclusions.
Yeah.
But
You can put your own punchline.
And that's an Archie joke?
Yeah. And I was like, I'm not sure if I should laugh.
I love him so
Ask
much.
if he knows what the hell he's talking about.
No.
Or just move on.
I was gonna say, he maybe doesn't fully understand, or maybe he does. But he also realizes people laugh, and that's the ticket. So carry on, Arch.
Any combination of the above. Corey, do you have anything to say about any local construction firms?
I do, but I do want to transition before I transition, right?
How far reminds me of do we need to get a social worker in here?
Well, possibly. I mean, it's always possible. I don't want to go there. That gets Dave Chappelle in trouble.
Yes.
No, your joke reminds me of the first dirty joke my dad ever told me.
Okay.
A duck walks into a prescription shop, right? And he goes, "I'd like to buy some condoms." And the guy behind the counter goes, "Should I put them on your bill?" And he goes, "What kind of duck do you think I am?"
That's a great joke.
That's really good.
I love that. All right, that transitions us into a great construction firm that we know, Andrews Construction Services. With over 20 years of experience, when they work on projects including banks, oral surgery offices, dental offices, schools, retail space, auto body shops, any other commercial retail services, you name it, they can build it. They offer assistance with all phases of construction, from the initial design phase all the way through completion. You dream it, they make it a reality. You got your next trouble in a commercial project that you need work on, call the boys at Andrews.
Really well done, Corey. High-end stuff.
It's about 8:30 on a Wednesday stuff.
Yeah, I think that's very apt, as they say. So
Kelly, I'm curious if Kyle and I shared some. What were your favorite jokes your parents may have told you that are not appropriate for nighttime?
Oh gosh.
You can cycle back too.
I gotta think. Well, so this one's not from my parents, but it's one I heard recently, and I laughed really, really hard. So, and it is not appropriate, but I'll say it anyways. What do nearsighted gynecologists and puppies have in common? They both have wet noses.
Now, the follow-up to that, Kelly, is your sweatshirt appropriate for telling that joke?
Okay, so funny story about the sweatshirt. So as I said, I was just at first communion and confirmation class, and I wore this sweatshirt, and I'm not thinking. So, red hydrant, lounging suites on the front. And one of the moms comes in and smiles at me, and we're sitting in a church with a priest, and she goes, "Really great sweatshirt choice, Kelly." Because the back says, "We take this dog shit seriously." So in a church with children, and I'm like, son of a bitch, like, why? Like, of all the sweatshirts I could pick for today, cross my mind. So I very promptly put my jacket back on.
Yeah.
And just try to keep a low profile because I'm like, I do apologize, but also I
Horseshit.
don't apologize.
You didn't apologize. That was purposeful. Now every kid in that church is talking about that business.
Yeah.
Did you see Mace's mom's sweatshirt? It said shit on the back.
Yeah.
To be fair though, the T is a fire hydrant.
Yeah.
So it leaves room for, that's censoring right there. So
Yeah, in that gray area, right?
Yeah, it's your own dirty mind that takes that somewhere
They
else.
bleeped it out.
And we do, hey, at the Red Hydrant Mountain Suites, they do take that dog shit. So I stand by it.
As one should. I think
Yeah.
it's nice to have some veracity and some factualness in advertising these days. I think that's very important.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, if we're going to give the Red Hydrant some free business and free posting on our podcast, they should at least house my mother-in-law sometime when she comes up to visit us.
They would do that for you. All right. I know. I don't know a lot of people, but I do know those people. All right. So we could work something out.
As the kids say, oh snap.
Yeah.
Corey went there.
And there's even TVs in the suite, so she'd be fine. She'd be fine.
Sweet.
Yeah.
See? Just all out there roughing it.
It's a nice little setup. Hey, did she listen to this podcast?
There's 19 people. I'm going to take my chances.
Take a stab. No. The answer's no.
I sort of undersold. We have 20 on Spotify, 10 on YouTube. So
Hell yeah.
Hey, a very special group. It's an intimate setting.
Right. And we finally got Bailey Bjerge on Instagram, and that alone is an accomplishment.
That was a big get.
Yeah. And Jet Morland.
And Jet. I noticed none of your kids follow us on Instagram, Corey.
I laughed so hard.
My kids don't have Instagram accounts.
Are they too cool for it?
I don't think we allow a lot of social media, although I think my oldest just got his TikTok account this year. He's 15. He has Snapchat, and I think that's it.
Yeah.
I never really formally gave Jet permission. He just thinks that he lives his own life and makes his own choices. So we just let him live in that belief, but he doesn't.
I did see him in East Grand Forks unsupervised last night, hanging out with a kid in a Warroad hat.
He was.
Getting tripped by 8-year-old East Siders.
Yep, he went in there peacocking a little bit that he was. I actually called my mom from outside the arena and I go, I think this means I'm getting old, that I can now drop my kids off to things and come back and pick them up. I said,
in Minnesota, no less.
Yeah, he was peacocking a little bit. It felt pretty good going there unsupervised. So.
Well, guys, this isn't something that I'm doing because I'm a good parent. This is something I don't let my kids have because I don't want to take the trouble to police it. I'm just lazy.
I totally understand that. I really, really do. I
look to a good parent. Keep looking.
Yeah.
It's a frightening time. I was in I apologize if I've told this story before, but I was in the pickup line at Schrader at the middle school after just grabbing a young one, a third grader from Kelly Middle School. Just sitting in line, minding my own business, and the third grader goes, "Dad, why are middle school girls so hot?" I did not have an answer, but I thought that's going to get me on the list.
No, I think you want to
ask your mom. Ask your mom.
Yeah, punt.
Yeah, not gonna touch it. Not gonna do
No,
it.
thank you, young man.
Oh, what a guy.
Yeah, what a guy. So I'm going to segue. Corey, I almost sent you a screen grab of a Buck Showalter quote today. I
love it already.
I'm not, just because I lead with Buck Showalter doesn't mean this is a non sequitur.
You had me at Buck Showalter. We're in. Let's
go. Was complaining about the analytics crew that are, ubiquitous with Major League Baseball teams now, saying, hey, we had a guy that hit 2 doubles and a triple in a game. We should probably sit him the next game to ease his load management. Okay. And so that brings up Kelly's point of the burnout. So as the coach of a Pee Wee team, something we talk about now, about is this an appropriate time to start giving days off? So I thought both of you could comment. Kelly mentioned the burnout. Corey knows stuff about baseball allegedly. Let's discuss.
Go ahead, Kelly.
Oh, I mean, like I said, and this is just me. I like to feel personally victimized by things that aren't about me, but that's just how I live my life. So I'm starting to feel personally victimized at this point in the season about the hockey schedule. It's just like we're getting towards the end, and I'm not anxious to get to the end because it's been a really fun season and it's been great. But I can just kind of see where we're getting into the, like the monotonous motions of this, where it's like it's been going on, and 6 a.m. practice 3 days a week has been going on, and workout twice a week has been going on. So you can kind of just see where it's like more like, come on, bud, it's time to go. And it's kind of like, oh, like that drag. And I feel it too. Like I have to be the one to be like, no, let's, you're doing so good. But I mean, oh, it's that time of the year where it gets long. You're starting to feel the drag on of the season. So I'm guilty of, but I can see it in Jet as well, where we're just kind of we're not quite to the final push, so there's a little bit of drag in him as well. So he's done it well, but you can, I don't know, I'm sure you guys kind of see it in your boys too, where, and Matt will even talk about with the high school boys that it's that time of the season where you can get a little, they're now going into tournament time, but you can see that kind of stagnant nature at that time of the year, and lots of injuries are happening as well, which that doesn't help anything.
Corey, rebuttal.
None really. I'm right on board with it, right? So the hardest part about this time of year is that it's been a long season. They've been going after it. Maybe they've been playing some spring hockey, maybe they did some preseason stuff. You played most of your games, and sorry, my daughter was bringing a glass upstairs so my wife would refill my drink. You play most of your games, and the kids are burnt, and maybe it depends where they're at in their schedule, right? Maybe you're in the really hard part of your schedule and you feel challenged. Maybe you're in the really soft part of your schedule and it's not as much fun as it was early on. Maybe you are done with all of your tournaments, so you're just traveling for day games at this point. And all these changing times, I feel it in my kids, especially as the overlaps hit between seasons. So now we're at the overlap between hockey and the world's greatest sport, baseball. And the kids are starting to go, okay, I'm starting to feel ready for baseball. And you see that transition on their faces. Okay, now I want to practice. Like we have Cam and I built a plyo throwing wall in the basement. So Cam's been throwing rubber balls against the wall for the last 2 weeks to try to get his arm in shape. And you can tell he's like, well, baseball's starting, so I'm getting into that.
Right.
Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead, Kelly.
No, I just we're at the point in the season where it feels kind of long, and I think that the weather's played into it a little bit too, because it feels like spring, even though it isn't spring. Yeah. So it almost feels like we're supposed to be transitioning into something different, but we're not really quite there. So
yeah, it's it really presents an interesting situation, both the weather that you talked about, Kelly, the injuries that you talked about. This is where like the little nagging, like, oh, my knee's been sort of sore for a while, but also this is the time when like the little mental health stuff starts to pick up as well. So I represent clients. They're 24 on down to 15, and all the little nagging things now, like stuff you don't care about in November now is like really starting to weigh on you. So like almost daily calls about like, oh, so and so is starting to bug me, or whatever happens. This is this is a time when you have to deal with all that little stuff like that's going on. And the one little interesting phenomenon, I'm curious to see if your boys have picked up on this, but we all have kids of a mutual age that are, sort of transitioning from little boys into,
bigger boys.
The fall spring has brought on a little bit of spring fever. I'm getting a lot of stuff about trying to artificially deepen voices and wondering about girls that are walking by and who's doing what. And it's a lot of stuff happening at once, and I wonder if that's happening across the hockey universe here.
Yes, yeah, for sure. And one of the things that I kind of noticed with my Jets team is just we're kind of in that weird phase where the excitement of making the team has waned a little bit, but we're not quite to like our big tournaments. So it's kind of like we're not in the honeymoon phase anymore,
Yeah.
So they're doing a good job. And I don't blame them either, is the thing, because like I said, I like even this morning when I had to get up and get Jet from practice, when I had to drive to the Icon at 6:45 in the morning, I'm like, this gets a little tedious, So even for moms and dads, and I'm not the one who's been on the ice since 5:45. So yeah, it's true. And yeah, I get what you mean too, Kyle, because they are kind of this middle school change where all of a sudden we went from like girls are stupid to I swear to God, if you don't quit texting on your phone, I'm going to smash it into 10,000 pieces.
Yeah.
That's been a revelation here, where we went from, the little boys who we couldn't get out of the pool, that would have been like devastated if a girl would have even came through, just for, the sheer audacity of it, to now we like girls so much and nobody wants to swim because we're just going to sit together and look at our phone screens. So it's been really fun. Never thought I'd miss the pool, but
Right?
turns out you can.
They do transition to the hot tub, so they'll still go to the pool area, but they'll just sit in the hot tub. They won't go in the pool.
That's cool. Yeah, the pools are dumb and for babies, obviously.
Yeah, but hot tubs are still okay.
Yeah.
Hot tubs are cool.
I'm going to use this as an opportunity to ask both of your opinions, because I value both of those. We have an annual family summertime 4th of July party. And you know that I'm just sort of laying in the weeds waiting for some laws to change so that I can take things to the next level with my cousin. She's bringing her boyfriend to this party from Australia in the summer. I should fight the guy, right?
I didn't know where you were going with this.
Kelly,
I thought you were going to say, because he was
Corey, I'm going to interrupt you. I didn't want to hear your opinion. I wanted to hear Kelly's, and I'm satisfied.
Great. Kyle, you and I have a similar thought on this, okay? So yeah, fight him. He has to know you've known her way longer, okay? Like and he's gonna
like 45 years.
Cool. He's gonna think it's a flex coming from Australia. Put him in his place, okay?
I'm going to teach him what's up with the Commonwealth, and despite the fact that I eschew Canada now, I'm going to teach him a thing or two. Corey, now you can talk again.
I thought you were going to say, and I thought he was cute too, and you didn't know where to go with it. That's where I thought this was going.
That's why I cut you off, Corey. 100%.
Yeah, I know. I deserve to be cut off, and it's okay. I'm going to say the same thing that every bartender says to me too. Corey, you're cut off. Sorry.
Fair point.
Corey, it's time to go home.
It's enough. Or what my mom used to say, Corey, we've enjoyed you enough. It's time to go home.
Oh, man. He's a mom and a mother-in-law joke in the same episode.
That's wonderful.
High end.
And only one of them is alive to hear it. You can roll the dice and try to figure that one out.
Oh, I'm not going to touch that one. So talking a little bit about burnout. The other thing I've noticed, in addition to like adding the sort of the girl stuff into like all the typical hockey stuff that goes on, a lot of excitement now about spring hockey. So trying to keep mine in particular focused on the here and now. The last month or so of I guess regular season hockey has been a little bit of a transition into, I'm so excited to do spring stuff. Is that going on in your houses as well?
Yeah. No, definitely looking towards that. And like I said, I think that the weather is part of that problem, because I keep trying to clue my kids in. I'm like, it isn't spring.
Yeah.
So don't stop getting excited for that. We're not and I think we're gonna get a taste of that this weekend again, because it sounds like winter is gonna be back this weekend. So it's just that I think that we're you know, in the roller coaster, we're at that bottom trench right now. And it's, you know, as we work towards, I think that one of the things that is going to help in my household for sure, but I'm sure your guys is too, because the young boys look up is with the regional high school tournament coming up and state tournament.
Yeah.
It kind of really gets them going again because they get, you know, tournament time is so fun. It's so exciting.
Yeah.
And it just kind of you know, it's that reawakening of like, oh, this is tournament time, you know. So that's going to help out in my household for sure. But yeah, it's just that it's that long stretch where you feel like you've been in hockey season forever and you're going to continue to be in it forever. Like there's always that time of year every year. And we do it every year. So you think I would learn, but no such luck.
Each one's I think I would say a little unique, right? So like this year, you talked about it, Kelly, the weather has been warm. It rained a little bit today. We haven't had the piles and piles of snow. The outdoor rinks have melted. So it's like I would say a bit of a unique situation.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing. Cause like my boys, that's been a big complaint too, is well, we want to go down and ski. We want to go down and ski. We want to go down and ski. And I'm like, you can't. It's there's no ice. So like they even have like this whole idea that since it's supposed to rain tomorrow and then freeze over the weekend, that solves the ODR problem. And I'm like, I don't know that the ice will still be ideal to skate on after that. Might be a little chunky, but you know, they had that kind of taken away from them this year, and they're not super happy about it. I mean, I'm glad that they want to skate.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, it's created a challenge to just indoor ice. So
Corey, how's your rink looking? Speaking of that.
You mean my new outdoor pool?
Yes.
Beautiful.
Or your neighbors, I guess you're adjacent.
Yeah. It's soaking wet. Yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. My rink is bad. My house also has a severe dip at the end of my driveway. So I have a good 4 or 5 inches of water at the very bottom for about 4 or 5 feet. So I have to put on galoshes to get my garbage in back through the house after on garbage day. So it's pretty yucky outside. But if you're telling me this is what I have to deal with to have nice, good driving weather all hockey season, not having to risk my life, I'm in. Like if this is global warming, let's push some more carbon in the air.
My truck's running right now. I just leave it all the time. Just like for every Tesla owner out there who thinks he's saving the planet, my F-150 is running in the driveway 24 hours a day,
Yeah.
Well, the reason it's so warm outside is my heated garage just has both garage doors open and it just heats North Dakota.
Wonderful. I bet that's a fun bill. That's a fun bill to pay.
Yes, it
Small
is.
price to pay.
I don't ever go outside and then walk back inside and scream at my kids who didn't shut the garage doors again.
It's not an everyday experience or anything.
No, never. Not even a little.
You have a good line, Corey. I'd welcome you to come over to my house and also try and throw that one around.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. One of the other topics I wanted to talk about today is, and I'm going to go a little off script and say something nice about USA Hockey, is they have mandated now neck protection as of August 1st, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Going forward. The reason I want to say something nice is I think it was like the chief medical officer or the doc, whatever the gentleman's title is, after the Adam Johnson incident last fall, said he wasn't going to mandate anything because there's a significant cost involved, obviously, with buying the neck protection. He wanted to wait till all the testing was done before mandating anything, so people didn't have to go out and buy one thing and then perhaps like switch up and buy another. So I think that was a really nice move by USA Hockey to like lay off the knee-jerk reaction, which is somewhat uncommon these days, and to kind of keep his powder dry until he had all the information available, and then make the decision now. So just a quick shout out to that gentleman for holding off that long.
Yeah, I agree.
Go ahead, Kelly.
No, I was just gonna say I agree. I like kind of where Kyle pointed out with not having such a knee-jerk reaction on it, and actually, because I think that makes it more impactful, that it was that they gave it a minute to like you said, find out what would be the best alternative if this is really something to worry about. I mean, the Adam Johnson incident was unfortunate, but not common. I mean, because if it were, most people wouldn't play, or the neck guards would have been mandated a long time ago. But I support it only because of all the things that we use for equipment that make sense. To me, that one does too. Like just on that chance you're playing with blades, that situation, in my opinion, was a freak situation. Even the collision, how it went down, you don't see that a lot in hockey. But if the risk exists and this keeps kids safer, and it's as simple as a shirt with a neck guard, I think and I was one of those moms because I made the mistake of watching the video of that, and I didn't even actually, it was the day that it came out, and I didn't even realize what I was watching before. I just thought it was like maybe like a hockey collision. And when it happened, I mean, it was just a horrifying incident. So I immediately ordered Jet a Bauer, the neck guard, which he immediately lost 3 days after I bought it for him. So that's gonna be fun, because I was just thinking how, like, oh my gosh, I want to spend another $100 on a Bauer undershirt. Also, to which he replied, well, why isn't it a War Robe one? And I was like, you need to get a job and a realistic sense of how the world works. So, but that being said, I'll now be purchasing another Bauer undershirt, but I'm okay with it. I think it's just one of those things where it's such a small alteration to make to equipment. And there are options, like you don't have to buy the $100 shirt. Right. There are more cost effective. I just kind of figured that if he was going to have it, I also wanted the wrist protection just to have it. But that's I'm just hoping that they keep it cost effective, because sometimes in any sport, when attention is called to a specific need caused by a fatality, they're going to up the price of those particular things because they know there's going to be a run on it. So I mean, even if you recall the masks that we had to wear, the hockey masks, the COVID hockey masks, not the cages. I mean, I knew people from Minneapolis driving to North Dakota to buy these so their kid could compete, because that's how, and they were through the roof, in price and everything. So, I'm just hoping that, like the cost stays down, and there'll only be a run on it, because after a few years, as this becomes, common, people are just going to know it's part of their hockey, as much as shoulder pads and knee pad and breezers. And so, so it's just going to become normal after a certain point.
Yeah.
Can we all take a minute to just remind ourselves that there was a time when we were making kids hook to their cages masks because we thought that would help a situation.
Yeah.
Just feel free. I mean, I'm not judging. I just want us to just think about that for a second before we move on.
Let's just remember that did happen.
Yes, it was a thing, and it happened.
Wasn't a fever dream or a gas leak.
and while many people thought it was a dumb idea, enough just said, let's do it.
Yeah, honestly,
I recall the boys playing in a tournament where they had to have them on maybe Moorhead, and they had them clipped to their mask. They were clipped all the way down, just protect your chin.
And by the end of the game, they all had them pulled down anyways. So
science
didn't work anyhow. So
and
science.
And the refs had electric whistles, so they wouldn't blow.
Oh, I forgot about
that. Don't do this. That's bad.
We're going straight down a rabbit hole.
Sorry.
I brought it up.
Yeah. Corey, that reminds me, I would like to do. Oh, I'm sorry, Corey. Go ahead.
I just said there's history books for a reason, so you remember the decisions we made.
No kidding. I was going to tease out our next few guests or topics, and one of the topics I want to do is broadcasting youth hockey games, and that's one of the things you should bring up is you were very circumspect in your making fun of what was going on in that game. So I thought kudos to you.
Making fun of what was going on in what game?
When the kids all had to wear the masks and
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, like you were just calling the game, no extra stuff. And I was like, good for you.
I was told to take no political or ideological stances, and I followed that to a T, sir. I did.
Very,
won't
very
do
well
it.
done. Very,
You know,
so, well, using that entree to shift gears a little bit, one of the hot topics in hockey these days is Elliot Friedman has brought it up, and some other commentators, that there's a discussion afoot to allow major junior hockey players in Canada, who typically would have been barred from playing college hockey, to give them a path to play college hockey going forward. I only bring this up because Kelly's husband is a coach. Corey has a player, a good player that's sort of about to transition into that age group, where this will be pertinent. I just want to get your thoughts because currently 60, well, I think 60 major, yeah, 60 major junior teams in Canada right now in the CHL. So call it about 1,200 kids potentially about to come on the market for college hockey if it were to happen overnight. So big sea change in what we might be looking at going forward in the NCAA.
Kyle, I can confidently tell you a lot about both the Venezuelan and the Dominican summer leagues in baseball, but I
Okay.
have no idea what the major juniors are in hockey. So for our listeners and maybe for me, what are you talking about, man?
Okay. So I'll back up a little bit. So roughly speaking, two different paths in hockey in North America. This is really a little more pertinent in Canada, but there's what they call major junior hockey in Canada. So what they would call tier 1 in Canada. They get paid a small stipend in that $500 to $600 range. They're considered professionals. So they are not allowed to play college hockey once they graduate at 20. It is a very good path for your high-end players, your first or second round draft picks, like Connor Bedard, for example, played major junior in Regina at 18, moved on to the Blackhawks. Most of those kids will play on until they're 20. You can only have 3 20-year-old guys on the roster. Once you get to 20, at that age group in Canada, in Canada and the US, they're American-based teams as well. But typically, you're probably going to move on and play Canadian college hockey, which is fine, not to the level of the NCAA. There's been some talk recently about letting all of those kids be eligible to play college hockey after they're done. So right now, the ranks of college hockey in the US, Division I, are mostly United States Hockey League, which is tier 1 in the US, say North American League, US tier 2, and then leagues like the BCHL, Alberta League, and then some of the other lesser leagues in Canada. So to my point previously, it would be flooding that potential pool of college hockey players by about, let's call it 1,000 hockey players a year being eligible for college hockey. So really a big change in where you can recruit and who you can recruit as a college hockey team.
So you're telling me these players at most make a couple $100 a month?
Let's call it 500 for sake of argument.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, that doesn't even ring the bell on the NIL endorsements you're getting at college.
100%. Yeah.
Right. So I cannot get behind how you can call someone a professional this day and age if they're getting paid $500 to play hockey.
Yeah, and this is a 30-year-old argument. It doesn't wash, but that's sort of been the rule, and that's been it, right?
Yeah, these guys get paid. These guys don't get paid. If you're paid, you're a professional. You can't play college. I'm not getting behind $500. I mean, practical ramifications here is there's a bigger pool. Maybe it's an issue of if what you're saying, this is a higher league for players who are closer to the show or actual professional stuff, and that's why they've chosen this route.
Yeah.
But then it doesn't work out for them, so they want to go jump over to college. I can see why the non-professional players would be a little upset because they were going that route and now those slots were taken. But I don't see $500 a month as being a professional.
You're, yeah, 100% correct. Like, part of the issue here is like for the guys that were, your first round draft picks, it makes more sense. They play an NHL style schedule, call it, I think 62 games. You're playing in a lot of like high end rinks, so that, again, using Connor Bedard as an example, like that makes sense. If you need a little more time to like grow as a player, college hockey made more sense. But there's been a long, very, very long term battle for players about which route is the best, and College Hockey Inc. was sort of formed as a lobbying group in the U.S. to like try and get some of those American kids or Canadian kids, for that matter too, to consider college hockey. But that would, once you erase all those barriers, it kind of like breaks down the system to be like, well, it does open the door to some other players, but also like, say for a kid that's kind of chugging along in the North American League, it might shut down, if you chose that path, it might shut down some potential college hockey routes. Or if you look at it from a more positive perspective, it might open up the gates and allow more Division I college hockey teams, because now all of a sudden the player pool is increased by potentially 1,000 players, which is really interesting to look at, because it kind of shuts down that. And this is, and to be fair, and I'll cut this off right after here. This is more of a decision in Canada. It's like, well, do we pursue the major junior route, or do we like stick with tier 2 and hope for the best in college, because it requires some more patience. You can go to major junior at 15 or 16, where college you're probably waiting until 19 or 20. So it's a tough decision.
Can you transition from juniors in Canada or minor juniors to major juniors?
Yes, you can. So it's a one-way street though. So like, say if you're say a 19-year-old, and this happens often. You're a 19-year-old playing in Alberta, for example, and you have a really good season. You can go sign with a team in major juniors, and go that way. And you can go back to, which happens often, is like you played major junior till you're 19 or 20. All of a sudden, they have no need for you. You go back to tier 2. The problem is you can go up, and that's fine. But when you go back down, because you've played a game or signed a contract, which is typically the issue in major junior, you can no longer move on to college hockey in America, like high-end college hockey. You can play professionally, or you can play in Canadian college, which is, local listeners will recognize, North Dakota will often play Manitoba in early October and usually beats them pretty handily, like 7-2, 8-2 type of thing. So those guys are the
Canadian college hockey.
Canadian college, but I'm trying to think of the right word. Like, I don't want to say the leftovers, the guys that have moved through that system and now are on the other side, that decided not to play professional.
Their path, right?
Pardon me?
Their path.
Yeah, their path, right, yeah.
So in my opinion, if you're not paying these guys something along the line of an actual living wage, if it's essentially the equivalent of a per diem value, they should be allowed to play college hockey. I just can't imagine paying people next to nothing. Can't be professional. There's a corollary certainly with the baseball minor leagues, how they're not getting paid much either. There's a lot of lawsuits going on to raise their pay, and whether you can even call them professionals. But $500 a month is not an actual wage.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question. So, because I was reading about this today, but did I catch it right? I didn't know if this was, so let's say, like, for example, boys who play UND hockey, are they allowed to be paid at all for like merchandising? Do they get any money for that, or is that?
So that's opened up too. Now they can get the NIL money. So like, if you follow, like, so I'm gonna blank on the young man's name, but the quarterback at Georgia just bought a Lamborghini a couple of days ago, like $300,000 car from NIL money. Which is present in basketball and football, but hockey not so much now. And so
but but it is allowed.
It is allowed now. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess then that would be, I read several articles on it from people who think it's a good idea to allow players to transition from major juniors to college, people who don't like the idea. But I mean, with that money, that what's the difference at that point? You know, like, because people were trying, basically what it said, the argument was, is compensation what makes you a professional, or is being called a professional what makes you a professional?
Yeah.
And so they were saying, like, you know, that line is kind of blurred now, because it used to be compensation was the
Right.
bar. And now that they're letting college athletes take compensation, how do you make that argument now? And like Corey said, I mean, they're not being like excessively compensated for this. They're making some money, they're not making crazy money. So if they, and as I understood it as well, it's a shorter window. It was saying that, like, major juniors, with contract commitments to the NHL, it was 2 years, but it can take up to 4 years that they can hold for a college athlete. So they were saying for these major junior players, that can be a disadvantage because it has to go quicker for them.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. As I read more about it, I guess I would be of the opinion. I mean, I get that there are some who don't like it, and like you said, it does flood with a lot of players. So that is going to make the kids that want to go the college hockey route, it will add a degree of difficulty.
Yeah.
To an already difficult thing.
Right.
But I mean, I also see what they're saying is, at this point now, with compensation existing on both sides of the aisle, why do we still have this rule?
Right.
Yeah.
It's
I guess I thought that in all the opinions I read, that was the one I agreed with, is I thought, well, if they're being compensated, saying, you know, and you know, personally, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to have a path where not every kid that wants to go on and play hockey really wants to go to college. You know what I mean? So there's that hurdle too. I mean, it's a fair thing to say.
Perfectly correct. Yeah. It's an interesting thing because it has a ripple effect down and then a ripple effect up as well. So like any change you're going to get. So like, and Corey, I'm not meaning to pick on you here, but you know, you have a young man that's in that vein. So like, for example, if for whatever stroke of bad luck you happen to live in Winnipeg, he'd be approaching a time where he'd have to sort of throw his lot in with one side or the other. Like, I'm going to try for college, I'm going to try for major junior. You know, if you erase that barrier, I think that's ultimately probably good for that young fella, but it also creates a ripple effect where, as Kelly said, there's a flood of young guys on the market. But then the other thing too is a lot of the you know, professional leagues, say below the American League, are also dependent on those major junior kids coming out. I can't go to college. I really don't want to go to school. Maybe I'm not an academic. I'll go play in the East Coast League or something a little below. And now your world's open. So now professional leagues are affected. Europe's affected. It's just, it's everything you think of, like there's another little ripple to it. So it's pretty interesting to look at from a 10,000 foot view.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we're living in a time where our systems have become so complex. There's never a decision you can make without a feedback loop, right? It's the same thing in any, let's just take college sports, right? The transfer portal. We could sit and argue about how the transfer it's ruining sports, or maybe it's not. I mean, if you're following Washington football, they were playing for a national championship and their coach left and they lost something like 20 players.
Right, the whole roster, right? Yeah.
Right.
The roster, yeah.
So is that a bad thing when a coach can up and leave who recruited them anytime? Doesn't sound like it. Or is it a bad thing that a player can be like, you know, I wanted to be in this school, but now I'm really good, so I could play for that school. You know, is that right either? So I find these things to be hat in hand, part and parcel, right?
Yeah, and 100%, Corey. I think that's a big way to look at it, because like you hear about you know, some of the incentives guys have to leave. Like the one I heard about this summer was a quarterback we might know of left for, you know, $50,000 in a truck. Great. But what's the long-term effect? Like there's the big thing to me is that always represents change, and I think that's tough to deal with. It's nice if the kids have an option, it's not like they're, you know, indentured servants anymore, but then also it kind of breaks down the system too. So
Not an
real,
easy answer.
yeah. Yeah.
That's true. That there'd be consequences either way. But I understand why there are people who support it and people that don't support it. I read one article. It was the I think it was the Junior Hockey News or something like that. And that author was very clearly against it. He was like, every once in a while, this rumor starts somewhere in Canada and trickles down that they're even going to consider doing this, and it's just a rumor, and there's no positive to this, you know. So lots of opinions on both sides of the aisle. But like you said, I mean, there are consequences. I mean, are those who would say, this is how the system works. Why are we tampering with it? It's been this way. It works. It creates a known system. And then I can see where there's people that are like, well, let's shake it up a little bit. Let's see what happens. You know, it might be beneficial for people. It might increase competition level. It might, you know, I mean, so, but yeah, so it's interesting. I'll be interested to see how it plays out. And I'm interested to know, Kyle, you probably know this because you know these things. Who would have the final say? I mean, does it have to be an agreement between both organizations? You know, I mean, like, who makes that rule stand and who can make the rule go away?
Right. And ultimately it'll be the NHL because they provide funding to all the different leagues, but just the path of how the money gets there. So in the major juniors, they get a direct compensation. So every draft pick they have from that team, the NHL compensates them directly. And now the most direct comparison in America is the USHL. USA Hockey gets the money from the NHL and they disseminate it to the team. So because there's a layer between, they're not considered professional, but really it's the same, the money's going to the same place, right? So all these little different semantics, and you mentioned about you know, who benefits and who doesn't, and there's a lot of what we call pay to play junior leagues right now. And Corey, your boy's probably old enough now to be getting some reach outs from guys like that. If all of a sudden you flood the marketplace with 1,000, we'll call it 1,000 eligible players, all of those pay to play leagues that are selling that very slim glimmer of hope that you'll get recruited out of there. But what's the point now? Now there's 1,000 kids playing for, not only playing for free, being paid to play in Canada.
Right.
So what's the point of me paying you $8,000 a year to pay for the very faint hope that I'm going to go to college hockey, right? So it's just layer upon layer upon layer, like Jess's pumpkin bars.
There you go. Before you transition, I have 3 problems with this discussion point. Ready? Problem 1, been a very reasoned and well thought out answers thus
I know.
far. That's not on brand. Yeah, horrible. Reason 2, Kelly actually read stuff about this discussion topic and came up with cogent thoughts. Completely inappropriate.
I did. Well, listen, I didn't want to come in here looking like a fool. Okay. So, but I knew about like major juniors and stuff like that, but I just, I wasn't, Matt has explained this to me before and I wasn't like super clear on it. So now I'm going to be like, I'm going to try sly work it into a conversation just to impress him. Like,
I'm going to give a little Matt shout out because everyone dogs him Matt, super good dude.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
I'm going to flex on him when he's not expecting it.
Okay.
As you read about this topic and Kyle was talking about, I just went full ignorant jackass and was like, I don't know, Kyle, explain to me what you want to talk about.
Well, no, Corey, it's good perspective based on like, you know, baseball and football. Like, again, this all kind of ties together. This goes back years to the Ed O'Bannon case from basketball and all the way through. Like, it's all kind of tied together. It's all interrelated. So it's, I mean, you could do a several year series of podcasts just on this. So deep, right? So
that feels like a lot of work though.
Just because our kids are coming into
fantastic.
Reason number 1, while this was bad, you brought up the city of Regina and you didn't say the city that rhymes with fun, Kyle.
I've matured significantly in the 10 days since we spoke, Corey.
Unacceptable. Unacceptable.
Well, okay, so fair enough. If we want to pull it into the gutter, one of the other reasons I want to talk today is about, I sent both of you a photo, and I'll post it up here shortly. I've already posted it on our Instagram page. All of our children participated in a local tournament this weekend. Sunday morning, I was at the rink early drinking coffee with our sponsor, Sean Indries from Indries Construction Services. No, legit coffee. One of the moms from it was a Devil's Lake / town in North Dakota we don't like game. Mom was wearing leather pants at 9:15 in the morning. Pro or con?
Bless her. It just makes me think I have to up my game. I mean,
Okay.
she's going for it. It's a little much, especially I might be more in her corner had we had a traditional North Dakota weather winter, but I mean, leather's maybe a lot for 40 above, like
Sure.
I can't be the only one that thinks that. So, but flashy. And I do appreciate a little flash. So I don't know. I'm not gonna hate on her too bad.
Corey?
I'm going to tell you the same thing I said before. I've had a lot of long weekends at hockey. I've had a lot. Those pants look to me to be of the Spanx variety. And there have been days, early Sunday mornings, when I wish I could hide all of my Saturday night evil in a pair of Spanx too. So that's
right.
where I'm going.
Get it.
Now, I would also say that this is, I don't know if this was, I'm not going to call out the city because I don't feel mean today. I don't know if it was a Winnipeg mom.
Oh, it was. I get.
Oh yeah.
Well, Kelly, I think I told you off air where I think I told you off air the town in North Dakota. So I would say this probably gave her a bump from 5.5 to 6.5 because it got some local coaches to like do a shoulder check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Warranted or unwarranted, we won't get into that, but it did require some effort.
I feel fancy when I wear jeans, but not anymore. Like now I just feel like I'm not doing enough.
Okay. This was not intended to to make you feel bad. We really just wanted some scientific discussion on like the appropriate level of what she was putting on.
I know. I'm just saying is it's making me doubt myself because she's leveling up. She's leveling up, and maybe I need to level up. That's I guess what I'm taking.
Hey, fair point. Yeah.
Maybe we're judging too harshly. On Saturday, I wore a full suit to the rink. Full suit, head to toe.
Any reason in particular?
Well, I just got out of a funeral, but that's not the point.
That's not the point. The point is you did it.
Yeah.
He might have come right from a Whitesnake music video. We don't know.
Oh man.
Well, and I mean, are your guys' boys wearing suits to the rink now?
That has stopped abruptly.
Yeah, it kind of did with us too this weekend. Like I don't know who makes these again. Who makes the rule and who decides that the rule stands? That's what I want answers to. Yeah. But I mean, it even surprises me when the boys wanna step it up a little bit. These are children. They're of the joggers generation. There's not a lot of jeans to be seen around here.
I think that ties together nicely with Kyle's discussion point earlier about the boys getting where the migratory birds have to watch games. Do we wear a suit?
Right.
Do we not?
It's a whole anxiety-riddled discussion. I'll even look at Jack. What are we doing? I got to talk to the group chat first.
Yeah.
Let me know how that goes, and I hope you guys can figure something out. But yeah, I don't know what I don't know who made fun of who that the suits are stopping abruptly because they made a very harsh stop, like at the Grand Forks tournament this weekend. I don't know what happened there, but we went from needing 2 suits to no suits. So
yeah, just abrupt is the right word, Kelly, because it was like into it, done.
I don't know. I'd love to get to the bottom of this, but we got to get one of these kids to spill. So
maybe an end of season episode.
Yeah.
One of the other episodes to tease it out a little bit, and Corey, this will be roughly a baseball episode. Is one of my don't judge me. One of my Fargo friends.
I already did. Don't worry.
Has a foundation that talks about mental health for young athletes, and one of
I feel bad.
is like keeping anxiety in check. So we'll have her on to talk about that. But it's again comes from a baseball background, but also applicable to hockey. So we'll get into that a little bit too.
You know what I say about Kyle? Anxiety is why should I help my kids' anxiety if I can't handle mine?
That's what I was just gonna say. I feel like we're gonna get her on here, and I'm just gonna like slowly start telling her about my childhood. You guys are gonna be hanging out, and everybody's gonna be uncomfortable. And I'm gonna be like, you know what? Why does this happen? So I don't know. Get ready for that.
I want to remind you that I reached out to a licensed psychologist and said these words verbatim. Why am I such a jerk? And is it my parents' fault? And she did not help me at all.
Come on. Well, this gal is up here, Kelly. I think I've mentioned her to you off the air. It should be right up your proverbial alley. And Corey, she will not licensed for anything really, but we'll tell you what you want to hear. So,
well, I like that. Anytime I'm in an echo chamber, Kyle, I usually like myself.
Right, 100%. So, so just trying to watch the clock a little bit. I'll have you guys both know it is episode 22, which to me, also big thank you to the Tikanoffs for coming on. We've had a lot of requests for them to come back.
That was awesome. They were so cool.
Very interested in coming back. So that'll happen. This would be, again, 22nd episode, Double Deuce, which brings me to Roadhouse, starring Patrick Swayze, who was also in Youngblood. This is still a hockey question.
Super excited for the preview or the new one, Kyle. I have no idea why. I'm super excited for the next one.
I am not.
What if they wreck it though? That's the problem I have. You know, like I'm like, makes me nervous because like everything that we remake now, they're like, how do we wreck this?
Right. Garbage.
Yeah.
And normally, guys, I'm on your side. And then I saw the trailer. I'm all in.
Does it look good?
Watch the trailer and make your own decision. It looks good.
I don't want to do that, Corey. I want to be told what to think.
Fair.
Like they wrecked Bad News Bears.
They did wreck the Bad News Bears.
Although the new Top Gun was
pretty good.
Yeah, it was good.
But that's a sequel. It was a sequel. It wasn't a remake.
That's true. That's true. Sequel, not a remake. Yeah.
I would have
if you remade that movie, it would suck.
To have Tom Cruise like cuddle up with Kelly McGillis on the couch and just watch like Queer Eye or something super weird that like 55-year-old couples do, right?
This is correct.
Just like kind of a Tom Cruise and a chunky lesbian would have been good TV or good movies.
Yeah.
Kyle, I don't know if I've ever asked you this, but is there something wrong with you?
Yes. Where would you like me to start?
We're gonna get into that when we have the next therapist.
That's why.
Yeah.
I'll have you know that one of our fans, Tim Litzinger, thinks I'm interesting. So, Corey.
Well, he called me portly this week, so I don't really care for Tim.
So Tim seems to know some stuff.
Oh, Lord.
That seems a little mean. So I guess coming back to Roadhouse, the original, does anybody have a favorite line or memory they'd like to share?
Well, you know, Patrick Swayze, I love Patrick Swayze,
sure.
But he's always going to be Derek Sutton in Youngblood to me, or Johnny from Dirty Dancing. I like Roadhouse.
Okay.
But gosh,
I understand I'm putting you on the spot, so don't feel obligated. I'm just trying to tie things the Double Deuce, you know?
Yeah.
Dirty. I'm going to make Kelly mad because I'm going to put Dirty Dancing as one of the top 3 worst movies of my childhood.
Oh, snap.
Oh.
Yeah. Dirty Dancing, The Cutting Edge, Quarterback Princess. 3 of the worst movies of my childhood.
You're wrong with Dirty Dancing.
Quarterback Princess was a movie with, I think, was it Helen Hunt or was it, who was the woman? Jodie Foster. One of the two played a female quarterback of a football team.
Oh, I think
she's a little more butch, so I can see that.
Now, I'm not saying this was a bad film. I have 2 older sisters, and we watch these movies on repeat forever.
But you had to, because it was kind of like whatever you had on VHS, you were going to watch again and again. So, you know.
Whatever my sisters had on VHS is what I had to watch.
That's correct. That's the correct answer, Corey. Yep.
And whatever you've been told about having two older sisters is a lie, because they are natural born terrorists who have no care in the world for their youngest brother. I'm telling you, horrible
Gotcha.
people.
Amen. Amen. Nor should they. I see. I'm the younger sister of a brother. So Tom, he didn't get terrorized by us. He did the terrorizing.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But no.
So
Yeah.
we were talking about Roadhouse.
Roadhouse.
But Roadhouse is fantastic. Absolute classic. That does not go on bad. Does
I've
not
seen
go
that
on
movie
bad.
probably 10 times, and I can't think of a single quote. Kyle, you have to have one if you're bringing it up.
The one I like is Sam Elliott. So keep in mind, I saw this as like a teenager, and there's like some boobs in it. So
Yeah.
all you really need, ask Matt.
And they weren't even your cousins.
Matt will
Yes,
give you
it
the exact time on the VHS counter when Kelly
It's
Lynch
all-
came out.
Yeah, it's all you need.
Sam Elliott watches Kelly Lynch walk away and goes, "She got too much brains to have an ass like that." Isn't that something to that effect?
That's a great one.
Yeah.
How did this episode begin and end with you talking about different women's ass?
Well, it's called tying a bow on it. You know what I mean? So like it doesn't happen by accident.
It's a complete circle.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I interrupted you. Speaking of other people's stuff, you said you received a tasty treat recently?
Yes. Yes. So a couple of episodes ago, we did a semi deep dive into dessert adultery.
Oh, yes.
A very nice lady from north of 47 dropped off a pumpkin bar, which is and also to tie a bow on it, is presented an issue for Mrs. Litzinger, the South End Queen of Apple Crisp, has a competition now with pumpkin bars, and I would say in a very astute move, the pumpkin bar princess has dropped off pumpkin bars to both men and women.
Yes.
Thus cornering the market on dessert adultery.
100%. And I am okay with this. I'm not one of those wives that's going to get offended by that. Bring the desserts. Bring them to my house. I will love them. Matt will love them. I welcome this relationship.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. And those pumpkin bars were heavenly.
Yeah.
So,
it's also after dark, Kelly. Have you considered you were the target of the pumpkin bars rather than collateral damage?
I was the target because the pumpkin bar princess texted me before and said, "Will you be home?" And I said, "I won't, but Matt will." So I think that Matt really, felt like this was for him, but it wasn't.
Sure.
I'm just gonna let him. I'm not gonna take from him. I mean, it's because I'm not gonna make pumpkin bars, and I don't make pumpkin bars as good as those. So I'm gonna let him believe. But also, they were for me. So. Yeah. It was my dessert adultery, and he just doesn't know that.
Right. So the big thing is that the takeaways here: dessert adultery cuts across all I guess gender and gender barriers, right? It also has made its way up north. So once dessert adultery skips, say 32nd, all bets are off, right? Like,
I think it's good for a marriage.
It's good for a marriage.
There, I said it. I think it's good for a marriage. Okay, hot take, but. I said it.
I am planning my own counter-strike on dessert adultery, but I'm also crossing a bunch of lines here. So, a couple episodes from now, we'll hear about this, and is really, really eager to keep this going.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I have my T-shirt. Go ahead, Kelly. You're saying?
Oh no, I was just gonna say I have like one recipe in my pocket, but I just have to hope that no one has peanut allergies because there is peanut butter. So, I'm not trying to kill someone with this a dessert adultery. That's going to put a whole nother spin into this. So I'm going to have to put a disclaimer, if you have a peanut allergy, maybe we shouldn't have this type of a relationship.
And I don't mean to fluff your pillow, Kelly, but I understand the appetizers are one of your things. Could you on the spot name sort of a parallel track to dessert adultery, something with appetizers?
Oh, it's buffalo chicken dip. I mean,
I guess, yeah, but you have a name for the whole genre.
Oh, appetizer foreplay. There you go. Because
So good.
appetizers are the foreplay of the meal. So
Absolutely.
I like it. I like it a lot. And I think, again, good for a marriage. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, bring your appetizers and your desserts. Do it.
Would you guys be willing to talk amongst yourselves for 20 seconds while I just really wistfully thought of buffalo chicken dip?
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course you can.
I may have gone in far with play, no entendre intended. Perhaps that's more so far along for the appetizer. Like that might be more than the soup range. Maybe we're talking more about flirting. Are appetizers flirting
They
or
could be
foreplay?
flirting. They could be. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they really could be flirting as well because,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, they are the beginning.
In a sense.
Yeah.
Just some flirting. It's just a little.
It's a little light flirting with some buffalo chicken dip and,
Maybe some stuffed mushrooms.
there you go. There you go.
Swedish meatballs.
Yeah.
We're not serious about this meal yet.
Yeah. It
Feeling
is,
it out.
but it's getting sexy. So yeah, I get it.
And to be fair, Swedish meatballs already sound vaguely dirty. It sounds like kind of a move, right? Like,
Go to stuffed mushrooms.
oh, jeez.
Sorry, I'm gonna take
No,
it there.
hey,
I always do. Always
Kelly,
take
you
it
know
straight
that-
to the gutter.
There is no need to apologize on this show, right?
Okay, all right. As long as it's
I'm
a
gonna be
safe
honest with
space.
you guys.
Yeah.
I love where this episode has gone. It's gone. It's gone exactly where I was hoping, and I'm proud of you both.
Yeah. I really like to have the guests, but it takes out, it's tough to think of questions sometimes, especially when you come in completely unprepared.
Right.
Well, and also, I don't know how the grandchild of a famous Russian coach would have taken talking about stuffing his mushrooms.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know. That sometimes doesn't cross cultures. So
And a husband and wife group, if we talked about adultery in the foodborne.
Right. So this would all be answered if we can fulfill our destiny and attend a tournament in Nashville. We could really just loop them in, teach them about safety meetings, lawn darts, all of this stuff.
I am 100% for that decision for us to do a tournament in Nashville.
Kelly, your husband's already trying to secure an RV by nefarious means.
Yep, he told me about that, and I said, "Do it." I said, "Whatever you have to
What a
do,
dude.
and we'll
I
take
tell
it to
you, what a guy.
Nashville." I mean, he just at this point, when he found out that Victor wears graphs,
Right.
I think he just found his new best friend in Tennessee. So he's highly motivated to get there as well.
Yeah.
It's the hockey equivalent of it. Is both of them wearing the hockey equivalent of Eskimo Brothers?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, second.
He even was salty. So Matt couldn't find a new pair of graphs. So he got a used pair of newer Bowers. And he came home incensed. He was like, "You know what? I hate these kids. These are so comfortable." He's like, "They're like wearing a shoe or a boot." He's like, I hate them. I absolutely hate them. He's like, "That's why I like graphs, because they feel like a hockey skate." He's like, "These kids are just so damn privileged with their stupid comfortable skates." He's like, "I absolutely hate it." I'm like, there's something wrong with you. There's something something broken in there, but okay.
We're gonna have the equivalent of like the Tucker Carlson Putin interview. It's just gonna be me and Matt with all his controversial opinions, and people are gonna get mad.
Yep.
But
You can bring up colored skate laces.
Yeah.
That gets him real mad. Bubble cages. That also gets him mad. Just anything that in Matt's mind is new age, upsetting. Taping sticks above the heel.
Oh, I hate that.
Furious.
Oh,
Goalie's wearing letters.
We'll get him back. We'll bring up all these things, and he'll fill the hour.
Episode 30. Shit, Matt hates. Corey, what did you say?
I said, how about kids using Sherwood sticks just because Bedard's their guy now?
Yeah.
Like, I used Sherwood sticks before Bedard was born, so I can do that. These kids can't.
Yep, we can have a segment of what grinds Matt Moreland's gears, and just let him go.
Let it go.
Yep.
Someone mentioned Eskimo Brothers, and very, very briefly, about 5 years ago, I had a call with the scout. I'm going to name the team the Prince Albert Raiders, a major junior team in Saskatchewan, about a player that he was interested in. And we got chatting and we're like, found out we're about the same age. And we're like, oh, here's what, I grew up here and went to school here. And we started talking about girls. And we're like, then we turned out we were Eskimo brothers and he wanted to talk about it for like 10 minutes. And I'm like, my kids were in the back and they're a little too young to understand. And I'm like, this is going down the rabbit hole. I'm like, should we talk about the player? You want to talk about Rachel that we both understand biblically?
Amazing. That's amazing. That's
I told you I would drag this down into the gutter, and I succeeded.
Hey, if you ever talked about a gal from up north in Saskatchewan in the Rydell car wash with a scout?
oh my God. Please write a book, Kyle.
She
I
likes,
need a book.
Jack
I
Daniels
honest to God.
walks on the beach, but the opposite of walks on the beach.
Right.
Yeah, this is. This is what the 30 listeners come here for, guys.
Kelly, sometime I'm going to tell Matt about her signature move.
Okay.
Which is so basic but so effective.
He will love this.
He will love it. He will love it so much he'll give me his Birkenstocks just for hearing the story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I showed him the picture when you said about going full mat. He said socks got to come off to go full mat.
So that was sort of like that was intended to elicit a response. And now I'm so pleased it did.
Yep, it did. Yeah.
Can I tell you guys something in confidence?
Yes.
Sure. Absolutely.
So I went outside to take my I went outside to take out the trash. Shut up, Kelly. I want to take the trash out, and I just didn't want to put my tennis shoes on. So I slipped on my oldest boy's Birks. Never wore Birks in my life because I refused to wear ladies' clothing. So, but it was my sandals weren't there, and I put them on, and I walked the trash outside, and good God, those are comfortable.
They made your feet happy. They
did.
Happy. I'm telling you, you can fight them, and then we all wind up there.
Do not tell Matt, though.
No, I won't. I wouldn't give him the satisfaction.
I am going to talk about his ladies' shoes all spring season long.
Yep, and they'll be there. It's what I get him for Father's Day every year is a new pair of Birkenstocks because he destroys his.
Kelly, what do we call the summer walks to like drink when we just like walk somewhere to have a drink?
Our walk-arounds?
Yeah, but they had a name, right?
Right. What did we call?
But now that Corey's into Birks, he can come.
Am I into him or am I just kind of flirting with him? I don't know.
You want to join our walkabouts, and you're gonna want to wear the Birks because it does make it more enjoyable. So you're doing it.
You know, if I wear the Birks, I'm gonna have to start wearing my shirt that says "Body by Booze" and my wife's cooking.
Or that shirt you picked up in Vegas.
Oh yeah,
because it's the best shirt in the world.
Best shirt ever, and we're not going to repeat it on this podcast.
Oh come on!
No, everybody. We'll save it for later.
The 30 people listening, I saw the best shirt ever in Vegas, and I can't repeat it to you because it makes me blush.
But it was the best.
So good,
honestly.
So, by the way, I did get the name of the company that was selling said shirt, and I did contact them and ask them if I could make an online purchase, and they said no.
Seems mean.
Now, I don't mean to brag, but I have a companion fare. I'm going to take probably Amanda to Vegas. I will buy a bunch of those and just bring them back.
Please do. Fremont Street on the very far to the left end. I'm not going to tell you the direction because at that point in the evening, I did not understand directions. But it's far to the left, nearest the Irish pub, way down in the Art District. You can't miss it.
So, another good segue. One of our mutual friends said he will make us merchandise, like North Dakota After Dark merchandise. I will put that phrase on the back, just for Corey.
Perfect.
I don't think you will.
Perfect.
Like we just met, Corey. I'm very susceptible to dares.
I done dared you, sir.
That's why I'm on my second wife. So
It's true.
True. Any other topics you gents would like to discuss?
Yes, but we probably shouldn't at this point.
Yeah,
No.
we really show that when we don't have a guest, aka a babysitter, where this goes. You know, like
Yeah.
it. We do best behavior when guests are present. We really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we had some foreign nationals on. It was very legit and above board. But I'll say this, it was tough.
Yeah.
Kyle, for the viewers at home, upcoming guests. I know you have a list of them, but
I do have a
things
list.
they
We
can look
have
forward to.
a gentleman named Nathan Bowen, who runs a company called Total Package Hockey, which runs a bunch of different training, very interesting business model. They run hockey training facilities where the kids also go to school. They go to school in the day and skate during the day. So they, between 8 and 3, they're on the ice and taking school. Uh, uh, Very nice guy. Is set up in Alabama. Will talk to us about that. Randy Lieberg from JLG Architects is going to talk to us about adding essentially parent amenities to rinks. Now, we've all been in a lot of different rinks all over the place, about adding things for the people watching the games, just to give some creature comforts. Elizabeth Med from the 463 Foundation, talking about mental health for athletes. And Gino Gasparini, legendary UND hockey coach, going to tell us about hopefully he'll tell us some real crazy stories, but we'll see. I've heard a couple, and they are, as a parent of a kid about to go into that age group, somewhat shocking. So we'll see. And also Corey's brother-in-law.
Yeah. Hey, hockey in California. What's that like?
Which is also I love those because I just like to hear about like what else is happening across the country, Interestingly, my wife has a friend who's lives in California as well. She has a 15-year-old daughter who just started playing hockey as a fan of the LA Kings. So I thought that was an interesting story as well. It's like that's a tough time to jump in, especially as a girl, to jump into playing hockey. Like it's a kind of an awkward time, and so I thought kind of good for her for sticking her neck out like that and jumping into a new sport.
Hockey is not a sport that you typically see people jump into late either. It
At that
doesn't.
age, right?
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
hockey, it is much more rare to hear, just because skating kind of tends to be like from toddler on type
Right.
of deal, because it's like a special skill for hockey. So I always love to hear that too when people start a little bit later, because you just don't hear about it a lot.
Yeah. So young kid, but I was going to see if the young lady wanted to join us for a bit just to tell us about her story, because very interesting. Like I have a 8-year-old who started 2 years late, and it's tough for him, right? So at 15, that's especially a big leap. So
Right.
Corey, any further thoughts?
No, I think we've foreshadowed nicely. We've delved into some deep topics here by ourselves, as Green Day said, all by myself.
Oh
I think
man,
we've done good.
yeah, I think so too. A little pat on the back for everybody,
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, if that's it, we can cut it off. We'll see and hear everyone next week. And off we go.
Good.
Okay, thanks all.
All right,
Have a nice
guys.
evening.
You guys
Good
too.
night.
Have a good night. I'm gonna go eat pumpkin bars. So
Yeah, me too.
good, guys.
Good night, guys.